Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week on the Cyclekart build I'm back on the front steering and suspension. See you in a minute. Now last week I mentioned my wife was in hospital for an operation. That's been sorted. She's back home and has been for 5 or 6 weeks now before I've started to come back out and do some more work. So things on that front are looking good. So it's time to move back on with the Cyclekart and start and get this front axle ends sorted out and do a little bit of work on the billet aluminium I've got. So let's have a look and see what we've been doing on that. That's drilled the kingpin holes out, 4.5mm, and we'll make them larger when we need to, but it's now that hole is through the middle. A normal drill will just follow that and we can get those done later. Right, so it's mega delivery day. We've reached a stage in the build, or I should say the preparation for the build, where a load of stuff that's been on order started to pile in, so I'm getting loads and loads of things now. This is today's delivery, most of which I suspect will be to do with the cart, because I haven't been, to my knowledge, buying anything else. That's for my wife. Come back to that one later. So it's not as bad as I thought it was. Right, first off, let's see what we've got. 2 drills, 15.5mm and 16mm. I've drilled out the front steering ends to the size of the bolt to save me having the bush in that you get with the kingpin. This is the kingpin bolt, and I found that although I drilled it out to 10mm, and that one is good, this is done in my drilling machine, it's just a little bit sloppy, and therefore, being aluminium and steel, it probably may well get a bit of wear in it. So I've decided that the best thing to do is to reuse the original Gemini cart's sleeves and mount those in instead. This is a 16mm outer diameter tube, and if I just do a straight drill on that, it may get the same problem of being just slightly loose in there. So I've got a 15.5 to see if that would solve the problem. This is basically due to the inaccuracies of having a vertical drilling machine pillar drill that's not very good. And then I can just take out the last 0.5mm without too much fuss, I think. So that's what those are for. Have a look, what's this one? It's mainly only fixings now. I've got most of the big components. That is, yes, those are countersunk M6 bolts, I believe. These are going to be used in the front ends of the axle, where I've got to bolt that aluminium plate, which will be bolted to the kingpin holder. So that will be at the end of the axle, and that will be welded to the tubular front axle itself. And the intention is that once those two are fixed together, I can drill holes through. That will be countersunk, I think it's that way probably, countersunk, tapped and pushed through, and then it will bolt together on the front axle. So that's what those are for. So it looks like it's all front axle, front end stuff arriving now, which is what I've been concentrating on, because I think I've got the back pretty much sorted. this is and that's nuts to go with them M6 nylocks, to go with those. So that's a step forward on the front end. And then last but not least, a bit more posh, this one, box. The other thing I'm going to have to start and do is organise this lot into some sort of boxes that I keep all the stuff together, because it's getting that I don't know what I've got or where it is. Aha! Yes, that is, I hope, the right thread for my steering boss. Let me just go and get the steering boss a minute. I'm hoping this one's right. It was a guess, and if it's wrong I've got to start again. But the steering boss that I got, the quick release hub, has got threads in it to take the steering wheel, and it came with some bolts fitted, but they're a square head bolt, and what I want to do is have a wheel that's got a boss almost like that in aluminium that bolts onto there, and I'm hoping I've got it right. Yes, because the metric thread wouldn't fit. They are 5/16 UNC thread, so I only wanted 3, but that's fine, I've got enough now. That means I can fit the boss, which is about 10mm aluminium, on there first, then I can put all the spokes routed into the surface of it, and then put another one on top. So we're going to get some boxes, I think, and start and label this stuff up and put it away properly. Just had a couple of brackets, well 4 actually, brackets delivered for the front of the car. I'm not quite sure whether they're going to be strong enough. It's a bit difficult for me to fully understand the sort of forces you're getting, because this might be 80% the size of the real one and only powered by a very small engine, but pushing something that weighs, I don't know, 150, 200 kilos along at 20, 30 miles an hour is the same, irrespective of what scale it is. They are to fit the tie rods, to take them from the front yoke on the steering, on the end of the axles I mean, back to the chassis rails. And I got these because they were ideally shaped. They're 45 degrees. I can bolt them to the chassis frame there and bolt them to the back of the yoke at the end of the axle with the carriers for the kingpins. And my thoughts were that if I was going to put it like a Heim joint top and bottom with a pair of radius rods, and the thought is that if they are not man enough in taking that load, there's 2 things I can do. I can put a tube through the middle. They are stainless, so they should weld, that you could weld a tube in and put a bolt through top to bottom, and it would give a bit of strength to the whole thing. And if that is not sufficient, it can be boxed in on that or that side elevation. So I'm hoping they'll be okay. We'll see. I'll work with them as they are to start with, and if they then show any sign of deflection or bending, we'll just go back to the drawing board and either redesign or alter these to suit. But that's the brackets. Once again, found on eBay from China, and you can just, if you look long enough and sort of keep trying, it's always difficult to know what you're looking for if you don't know what it's called. But I eventually found these after a long search with just putting 45 degree brackets in, and it came up with what I wanted. Right, so that's got the holes drilled for the kingpins in that billet, and they're both now reasonably able to put the inserts in nice and tight. I'll then drill through, I think, and put another grease nipple on so that that'll actually grease the pin itself. Let me just get the pin. I've still got to cut the billet up. That should give me a nice snug fit for the kingpin, with room for a bit of easing up later, but that's fine. Shouldn't need what I thought, which was that they'd need to be glued in. I think they can probably be a press fit. It's only left me with one other problem, that being that everything's been covered in WD-40, and it means I've totally lost all of the markings for where the cuts have got to go on this. So I'll have to go back to my little book, drive these out, go back to my little notebook and remark the whole thing out, start all over again. Should have done it with a scriber. I think I now need to go and wash my hands, because aluminium and WD-40 is a combination that makes for pretty filthy hands. Okay, that's got the two billets cut pretty much to shape. There's a lot of work now to do on them to refine that shape, but the hard bit is over. The shaft through the middle that I've drilled will take the Gemini spindle through there, and as I say, I may well put a grease point in there for it. So that's, as I say, the hard part done in terms of the amount of grunt work getting that metal roughly to shape. I've now got to round off the ends of these. Let's get one out. Now I've got to round over those ends, and I may well then round the section here where it mates to the vertical plates. That needs dressing smooth, flat, drilling, tapping to take countersunk bolts going in that way, and as I say, I may well just round those over and or take some more of that bottom off. I'm not sure yet. The critical bit was getting that size there, and the rest of it now on can be art rather than mechanics. So we'll move on to that perhaps in a future episode. I think we'll stop this one there at that point. Right, so that's the front axle starting to take shape and becoming a little bit more real than my sort of thoughts in my head. It's now becoming something a bit more concrete. Whether it'll work or not, we don't know. It may well be that I have to revert to going to something a bit more simple, but we'll carry on down this route at the moment and see how we get on in the next few weeks. Hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week when we'll be doing something different on the Cyclekart. I'll see you then. Bye.